Now, we're doing the same thing. We're finding the factors and the zeros of mostly cubic equations, but now we don't get any hints. No hints. The hints were the best. So how can we do it? We are going to have to make our own hints. Sometimes you just got to do stuff yourself, you know? No hints, we'll make our own hints. How do we make our own hints? Well, our own hints are going to be called the P over Q list, where P's are the factors of the last number, and the Q's are the factors of the first number. The P's are the factors of the last number, and the Q's are the factors of the first number. That being said, for last number, first number, then we have the P over Q's, which are called the possible rational zeros. They're kind of like the possible answers. They're basically our hints, but we're not going to know the actual, like, free one. We're going to have to do a little bit of work to get that, but we will know enough to help us out for sure. So let's see, if we look at the first one here, first we're just going to talk about making that P over Q list. So P's are the factors of the last number. So the last number here is negative 10. And we use plus or minus for each one. So here I'm just making a list of all the numbers that go into 10. Q's are the factors of the first number, so plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. The P over Q's are the possible rational zeros. So I'm going to take each number, like 1 over 1 is 1, 2 over 1, 5 over 1, 10 over 1, and then also take each number over 2. So 1 half, 2 halves I already have is 1, 5 halves is another one, but 10 halves I already have as 5. So those are the hints or the possible zeros, or the four answers to this problem are somewhere on the list. P over Q list, again, that's a really long P over Q list. Usually they're shorter. Like here, the P's are just 1 and 3. The Q's are just what numbers that go into 2, so plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. And then my P over Q's are 1 over 1, 3 over 1, 1 half, and 3 halves. Possible rational zeros. So here we're going to make our P over Q list, then we're going to figure out the 3 solutions in this case. So here, let's see, the P's are plus or minus 1 and plus or minus 2. Now it's really nice when the Q's are plus or minus 1, because then basically the P over Q list is the P list, plus or minus 1, plus or minus 2. So that's 4 answers, 1, negative 1, 2, negative 2. And we know that our problem here has 3 answers. So we are going to guess which one we want to start with. So, I don't know, let's start with 1. So is 1 an answer? I'm going to know it if it works in synthetic division. And notice that I had to add a 0 because there was no x squared term. And it does not work because it gives me a remainder. It is negative 1. If I set aside a negative 1, drop down a 1, negative 1, negative 1, 1, negative 2, 2, and I got it because I have a remainder. So I quickly found my own hint. My hint is that the value of negative 1 is one of the zeros. Once I find that hint, I'm in the same spot I was yesterday, right? Here, I got a free 0 at negative 1, so the factor is x plus 1. I already did the synthetic division, so it's x squared minus x minus 2. That factors x minus 2, x plus 1, and I can get the remaining factors of 2 and negative 1. And so those 3 are the zeros for that problem. Now you did notice that I had a double 0 here. I had negative 1 repeat twice. I'm still going to write that 2 times. Next one, and I'm going to jump ahead here to just the P over Q list. Because the Q's are 1, the P over Q list is going to be the same as the P list, or it's going to be numbers that go into 24. which are many, right? And this is going to be like, what? I can't test all those numbers, right? Plus or minus 12, plus or minus 24. It's usually never those later numbers, right? You're always going to have one in the beginning, like 1, -1, 2, -2. Within here, you're always going to find a 0. You don't always have to start testing with 1 and -1. Like, you could just use some intuition and be like, I feel like 2 works. Let's try it. You know, you could, and you don't need any zeros here. So if I drop the first number down, multiply, add, and look at that. I got it right off the bat. So like a lucky guess. X is 2 comes from the factor x minus 2. The leftover polynomial, x squared minus x minus 12. Which factors? X minus 4, x plus 3. So I get x is 4, x is -3. And I'm done. So even though it's tedious to find your own hint, it actually doesn't take too long. Now, what if you get down to something that doesn't factor, right? So again, here the P over Q list is going to be the same as the P list. So it's going to be numbers that go into 20, which is 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. Another long list. I'm going to focus on the beginning, +1, -1, 2, and -2. Now, I've done this problem before, so I'm going to make a good guess here, again, that it's 2. Oops, and then this has a typo in here. Sorry, this is supposed to be a plus. The equals and the plus are the same key, right, on the keyboard. So if I drop down 1, 2, 1, 2, 10, 20, and 0. So I have my free 0, x is 2. Factor it comes from is x minus 2, and now I have x squared plus x plus 10. We were in this position the other day where we had something that didn't factor that we needed to solve. Do you remember how we did it? Yep, you use quadratic formula. That's what it's for. It's for solving quadratic equations that do not factor. So minus 4ac all over 2a. So this one here is going to bring up an old friend, I. Right? So I get 2 imaginary roots. Right? 2 imaginary roots. Good. Now, little fun fact here. Where do the roots show up on the graph? So let's say like this graph here. Fun fact. This graph is going to cross the x-axis at what points? Oh yeah, -3 and 2 and 4. So I'm just making this graph up like it's going to be some kind of swooshy graph like that. But if you are stuck, if you want to, go to your calculator and type it in and graph it, you might be able to make some smart choices about the zeros, right? Because you'll be able to see visually that the zeros are where it crosses the x-axis. We're going to tie that together in a couple days, but we'll just preview that now. Factors and zeros, no hints.